Alright guys, this is a very exciting video. I'm going to be outlining why, in my personal humble opinion, I think the Mercedes NIO deal is going to happen 100%. Why, in my opinion, alright? So, this was just a few days back. NIO CEO was spotted with Mercedes-Benz CEO, China CEO, which is also the co-president, observing a battery swap station. NIO CEO has obviously been photographed talking to the European CEO head Ola Kalinius at a new house back in April, and this was just the swap station video is very recent, and this is again fueled rumors about a possible Mercedes NIO partnership and why I think it's going to happen 100%. And there's a few reasons why. So first, we got to understand what is going on. First of all, Volkswagen is working with Xpeng. Audi is working with IM. There's an Xpeng right there. These auto companies are holding hands together to weather the storm and to develop better cars in order to fight back against Tesla and Tesla's dominance in the EV market. Now, why would they even work with these Chinese brands? First, you got to understand a phrase that's very important in China. It's called 弯道超车. It means overtaking the competitor via a turn. And this phrase is used to symbolize how over the past dozens of years, China has always been behind in terms of engine development and engine tech. The Germans have pretty much refined it and polished it so well that there's no way that a Chinese-made and Chinese-designed engine is going to surpass the quality of a German-made engine for a gasoline car. So in order to, essentially overtake them through the turn, this turn is really the turn of the century where everything is transitioning towards EV. So China has really grasped this opportunity that this is their one chance. Screw the gasoline vehicles and engines. We're going to give up on that. We're going to focus on EVs and try to be ahead in the EV game. And that is exactly what's happening. A lot of Chinese-made EVs are overtaking the world. They're just so much better cars than what the German EVs are. And we're seeing Chinese-made EVs being exported all over the world. BYD exporting all over the place. NIO being sold in Europe, etc., etc. This would be near impossible if it was just a gasoline vehicle. Now, what has these companies really grasped that are fundamentally very different from the European way of making cars and selling it to customers? And that is, of course, how these companies, especially like NIO, has revolutionized what it means to own a car. So straight off the bat, a lot of Chinese EVs like NIO, they have much better software and better hardware than the German counterparts. And also, the after-sales experience is so much better. NIO has an app with just hundreds of millions of people in the app. Most of them, some of them NIO owners, some of them prospective NIO owners that are going to become NIO owners, and some of them are just fans of the company. So this really is something that's new, this community-based ownership experience. That's something that these other car brands, and not even Tesla, they don't even have this. Right? You have Tesla fan clubs and all that stuff, but none of that is organized by Tesla. So in essence, with these EV companies, especially like NIO, Xpeng, Li Auto, these guys, they're more like selling you a entrance to the community, and to more extent NIO, especially NIO. And the way they do service, for example, pickup service, the way they handle customer complaints. A lot of these early NIO owners, when we asked them why they bought a NIO, and also me as well, they talked about how with these BBA companies, because they have dealership models, a lot of the times when there's a problem, people just kick the ball around, right? They blame the manufacturer blames the dealer, nothing gets solved, it just goes back and forth, and in the end, the customer has a very bad experience, and the problem is never solved. Whereas here, because everything is community packed, You can actually voice your opinion to a certain extent, complain about some of the problems, and have people care about you in general, the user. This makes owning a NIO more like part of a very big community instead of just buying a single product. And this is something that these BBA companies, these German brands, cannot offer. So in that aspect alone, a lot of customers would rather pick a domestically made NIO or Xpeng or BYD or even a Tesla over these German-made EVs. Now, of course, some of them fight back by cutting prices aggressively like what BMW does, but overall, these companies like NIO have a very strong foothold in the market. So in terms of that, they have won in terms of the EV game against these other BBA companies. That is one factor. The other factor is, of course, the infrastructure, the charging infrastructure of NIO. It is just so expansive. You have chargers everywhere. Now, of course, NIO opens these chargers out to public for other people to use, but NIO always has control over when non-NIO owners are allowed to use this or not. NIO could all of a sudden one day flip the switch and say, nobody's allowed to use our chargers except NIOs. That just means that everybody that wants to charge at those remote locations, they have to buy a NIO. These German companies, they want to be part of this infrastructure as well. So not only be part of these better car brands, get their tech, autonomous driving stuff, but also infrastructure-wise, it's also very worth it for them to be partnered up. The third reason, which I think might slip under a lot of you guys' radar, is understanding what customers want, especially Chinese consumers. Chinese consumers can be very different from these other European consumers or American consumers, and by partnering up with them, they can get more insight onto what customers want and cater the vehicles, their new products towards this. Now, a lot of you guys have said, no, NIO does not need Mercedes. Mercedes does not need NIO. I have to disagree with this. Mercedes really needs NIO's platform. And also, if Mercedes wants to succeed in the EV space, which they are failing miserably, it would be wise for them to adopt some of NIO's technology, potentially even battery swap, and partner up with NIO in terms of charging infrastructure to give them the competitive edge. Why does NIO need Mercedes? Obviously for the money. It is no surprise that NIO is spending and investing a lot of money. It's very cash intense. Having that extra cash injection is a huge bonus and helps NIO expand more globally, helps NIO do more R&D. And this partnership should really be viewed as a win-win situation. Mercedes gets all the beautiful tech that NIO has to offer. And we can tell that NIO CEO personally being there to show the Mercedes China CEO around really emphasizes how important he views this partnership as well. He thinks it's very important. He wants this to happen as well. Having that huge amount of extra cash will dramatically boost NIO's global impact for the foreseeable future. We can tell Benz's CEO, China CEO, also was very interested and they want this beautiful tech in their cars, make their car products more competitive because at the end of the day, they want to sell more cars as well. A lot of other big content creators, even much bigger than me here in China, they have said that NIO is next. NIO is definitely next. It doesn't matter if it's Benz. It is most likely Benz, all right? I think it's going to be Benz. But if it's not Benz, there's going to be someone else. There's always going to be someone else that wants to partner up with NIO. And there's a phrase in Chinese that we're hearing a lot here in China, and it's that the EV market has entered the elimination phase. The weaker ones are getting eliminated, completely wiped out. We're seeing a lot of these weaker EV makers already gone bankrupt, out of business. So for some of these companies, it's better to fork out that money and hitch a ride on a company like NIO. That is why I think partnership with Mercedes is going to happen. NIO wants it to happen. Mercedes wants it to happen. The market is forcing it to happen. Don't forget to like this video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.